Hi everybody. Just here sniffing my birch oil casually. Really nice. So we might just wait a couple of minutes. Not sure if anyone's going to join us live tonight. I know there are a few of you that will be watching this replay later, so I'll be sure to post it in the Facebook group. So I hope it's a good Wednesday for you all, and that if you're in Sydney, that you're surviving the rain this afternoon because it was a little bit crazy. And thank you for joining my walk through the woods, or a walk in the woods. So tonight, there's some really wonderful things that I want to share with you. But I guess before I get started into that, I just want to let you know that this is a really interactive session. So if you're joining me live, then please jump in and post questions or hit the like button if you like what I'm saying. But if you're watching this replay afterwards as well, then that's absolutely a-okay. Continue to put comments and like the various points that you do enjoy, because it's a great, I guess, feedback loop for me. And like I said, there is a lot that I want to cover off tonight. So, I'm choosing to go through 5 oils only, 5 or 6 oils, depending how we go with time. But there are a whole other range of oils that I could go through that really talk about being those grounding oils. So there could be a part 2 or maybe a part 3 session after this, depending on if it gives you what you need. So you can probably see the mist from the diffuser coming in. So just really seeing the scene of being in the forest here, guys. Method actor and all that kind of stuff. So why a walk through the woods? So basically for me, when I think of walking through the woods, I'm immediately kind of taken to a beautiful space where I feel really grounded and calm and just really connected to myself and in the being in the present moment. And I guess a key part of that that I've realized as I've kind of reflected over the last couple of weeks is that when I was living in Melbourne, so I went to the Dandenong Ranges with a few friends and went to a town called Sassafras. And it was this beautiful community that I'd never been to before, had never heard of. But I remember distinctly driving down like a winding road as we're making our way to the main part of town. And we were just surrounded by these beautiful, beautiful, tall, I don't know if they were pine trees, but it was just magical. They were so majestic and it was so green. It had been raining, and I remember winding down the window and this beautiful smell of like pine, and you can really imagine like that real forest smell. Like I felt really connected to nature in that moment. And I think for somebody who was living in the inner city, who lived in a concrete jungle opposite a nightclub, having gone into the forest or into the woods like that, it really kind of took me back, and I just felt really grounded and connected. And then if you fast forward that to a couple of months later, I did like a level 1 Reiki course. And part of that Reiki course, we were taught to do like an energy clearing meditation. And that energy clearing meditation was all about walking down the forest path and sort of then imagining sort of energy flowing through from either side to, clear our entire energy field. And every time that I did that visualization meditation, or still do it, I'm taken back to that moment in Sassafras with those beautiful big trees and that smell of rain in the forest. And that is another way, I guess, that it's really has that grounding effect for me. So if you take me to the present, if I take you to the present day where we are now, 2018 or 2017, when I first discovered doTERRA essential oils, it was the pine and the tree oils that really, those grounding oils that really, I guess, I was attracted to, that I really felt like that draw to. So again, it's that memory recall of being in that space, in that moment where I was sort of made to feel present and really anchored into the experience that I was creating with my friends at the time. So I guess that's where the walk in the woods has come from. And I hope that this sort of, what we start to talk about tonight really starts to help create your own memories and experiences like that too. So what you can expect is for us to actually go through, so the top 5 to 6 oils that I use for grounding. we're going to talk a little bit about what grounding means. Like, what is grounding? Like, what am I referring to when I say that? You know, is it a ship landing? Is it a plane landing? Like, what does that mean? So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we'll actually also, then we'll just deep dive into the oils, and then, you know, how you can get them if you want to get them. And I guess, like I said, there are many more oils that I can talk about from that grounding perspective. And so, you know, more than happy to come back and share those oils as well, because I guess in the spirit of not overwhelming with too information, we're going to keep it, we're not going to deep dive too much into these oils. But it's sort of a bit of an introduction to some of these grounding oils and how they can support you. So, what is grounding? What does that mean anyway? Is that some new kind of hippie word? Like, what does that mean? So I guess the best way to explain it is, you know, thinking of a tree in a forest, but thinking about that beautiful root system and how that sort of will grow down into the earth. That's going down meters down into the earth, and that's really stabilizing that tree. Okay, so when we're talking about grounding, that's referencing, I guess, that stability that you're creating in that moment. But it can be across 3 different areas. So there can be that physical connection. So that's our connection to the earth. So it's as simple as that. So really just that connection to our earth, and, you know, I guess that spatial awareness. Then there's the emotional grounding, and so that's really our connection to our thoughts and our emotions. And are we moving with ease? Are we sort of really struggling and to get through what those emotions are, or that day? Like, are we feeling stuck? So from that emotional perspective, it's about grounding and sort of neutralizing those emotions. And then the other is that spiritual element. So that connection to the earth, or, you know, connection to a source, to the, you know, higher source, whatever your belief system may be. So I guess the pretense of oils, or essential oils really, is that they do provide support in that emotional, physical and spiritual realm. But I guess specifically for these grounding oils, they're all about bringing you back to the center, grounding you in that moment, and just encouraging you to move through those emotions that you're feeling with ease, and not getting stuck in those negative thought patterns and those I guess that negative self-talk, and sort of wearing yourself down with those thoughts and those I guess those thought patterns really. So those are the 3 main areas. Okay, so we really want to be working towards being open, so opening ourselves up to our experiences, to, you know, the scenarios that we're in, to the present moment, and then being connected to a source higher than ourselves. And that really sort of expresses that gratitude and that openness in the world, and the way that we present ourselves in that world. Now, I should say, as I'm looking at these oils here, that some of the grounding oils are really quite pungent. So they're not going to be, I guess, you know, some of them, particularly like Arbor Vitae, which we'll talk about in a minute, tends to be a really divisive oil in terms of what the smell is. So with any of the grounding oils, they're really great to blend with your citrus oils. So now, if we remember, our citrus oils are our uplifting oils, and the oils that sort of really bring us into that positive emotion. So I guess that's one element to it. So the grounding, you want the grounding oil, but then also that uplifting sense as well. But it's also going to help to lighten out that scent a little bit for you if it's something that's not quite, you know, to your palate or your liking. In saying that, don't force the oil on yourself. If it's something that you don't like, then trust yourself, trust your intuition. Your body knows, the nose knows. So if you're not feeling it, then don't feel like you need to push through it. There are going to be other oils that are going to have other amazing and beautiful grounding effects that you can use instead of the ones that are making you feel ill and like you're going to dry reach. Basically has the complete opposite effect of what we want it to. Okay, so just keeping that in mind. But some of the blending oils, I don't think I mentioned, so it's your lemon, your lime, your bergamot, wild orange, tangerine. All of those beautiful citrus oils are going to be really great to be able to combine with your grounding essential oils as well. Okay, so we'll get straight into it. I've already been talking longer than I intended to, but I really just wanted to set that scene and really share you know, how those essential oils can support you in that grounding effect and what grounding means. So it's not just a fluff word that we're sort of throwing around willy-nilly. So the first oil is Arbor Vitae. Okay, now there's going to be those of you that love it, and there's going to be those of you that hate it. So for me, Arbor Vitae is a beautiful, beautiful essential oil. It comes in a 5 ml bottle, but it's an absolute powerhouse, guys. So it's a really pungent oil. So it's very strong. There's nothing subtle about it. It's going to whack you in the face, but in the best possible way. So for me, it's got a real like a leather, like tannin tobacco smell. So if you've ever had like a candle that was like tobacco and leather, that really sort of masculine and earthy smell, this is something that I guess I could associate with it, or being the closest to it. So as I said, it's really pungent, but it is really a very powerful oil. So it's very powerful grounding from a grounding perspective, but it's also incredibly cleansing. So cleansing to the body, so I think immune support, but also cleansing from that emotional perspective as well. Okay, so if with your Arbor Vitae, if you're feeling fear or distrust, or you're feeling quite rigid in your thinking, then this is going to be an oil that's going to be able to support you in working through that process. So as we mentioned before, from that emotional perspective, in that grounding element, it's working through with ease through those emotions, so that you can then release them, process them and release them and move on from that. Okay, so this is going to be a great oil that supports you with that. You know, there's various ways that you can use it. So I actually like to put it in my diffuser, and I've actually got it in the diffuser here now, so you can see the waft, the steam, beautiful air coming through. So I've got it in the diffuser with grapefruit. So remember I said a citrus oil, and also a little bit of basil in there as well. So I've put 3 drops of Arbor Vitae, 2 of grapefruit, and 1 of basil, because basil is really quite strong as well. And I find that's just a beautiful combination, and it takes the edge off the Arbor Vitae, but it's just beautiful. Like you smell it and you can't help but just really take that deep breath in, which again is going to be really drawing into the present moment and forcing you to stop. Okay, so stop that negative thought pattern, or you know, that fear and distrust that you're feeling, and really just sort of tapping into that, and I guess surrendering into that emotion. So that is Arbor Vitae. So as I mentioned, it's also 5 ml, but very powerful oil. You don't need a lot of it. Even with the lid off, I can smell it. So the next one that we are going to talk about, the next oil. So we've got your white fir, or Siberian fir. So basically these 2 oils have very similar properties. The only difference is that with the white fir, this it's no longer for sale, because they weren't able to find, doTERRA wasn't able to find a sustainable source for the white fir. So they made the decision to replace that with the Siberian fir. Now, if you're smelling them, there's not much difference between the 2. They're really actually similar. I think the Siberian fir is a smidgen more potent, but otherwise they're really both beautiful, subtle smells. And this is that smell of being in a forest after the rain, and just that beautiful, natural, earthy smell. So a beautiful oil. So this is Siberian fir. So I'll reference Siberian fir just because obviously the white fir isn't available. So this is an oil that's going to support things like generational healing, or generational issues, and then sort of working through healing as well. And I guess this is an oil that's really going to help to shine a light on those areas. So if you're feeling that you're working through some family history or some family dynamics, then this is going to be a great oil to be able to use to support yourself and create a little bit of an aromatic anchor as well. And so I guess one thing just to pause, didn't intend to share this, but with an aromatic anchor. So when I kind of touched on this already, but you know, when I've spoken about my experience in sassafras with the beautiful smell of the pine trees in the rain, that's creating, I guess, a memory. So it's a memory recall essentially. So by creating an aromatic anchor, we're creating a smell for ourselves that can anchor us back into a moment or an experience. So you might want to create a beautiful blend with Siberian fir, or it might be part of your nightly ritual before you go to bed. You're putting Siberian fir into your diffuser if you know that it's at night that your mind starts to play tricks and starts to overthink things. So it could be as you're putting this essential oil into the diffuser that you're setting a little bit of an intention for yourself, or, you know, just taking a moment to pause and really be present in the moment, or to set, you know, positive intention to work through something that you're struggling with at the moment. So this is a great way to, I guess, that aromatic anchor is a positive way of bringing you back to that thought or that intention, so that when you are thinking about, you know, you're in that negative headspace, or you are, you know, mulling over that family situation or that argument that you've had, when you're smelling that Siberian fir, it's bringing you back into the moment, like, yeah, like I'm working through this, I'm in a positive space, or I'm sort of moving with ease through that emotion, so that you're supporting yourself as you're processing that out. Okay, so great in the diffuser. You know, there's the cupping method as well, so you can put a drop in your hands, rub them together, and just a really big belly, deep breath in. So you want your belly to really expand and really take that air in and just be in that moment. If you do that 3 times, and 3 or 4 times, then you're just going to really anchor yourself in and bring yourself back to that moment. Okay. So the Siberian fir is also great for massage, because it's also that energizing. So whilst there's that emotional element to it, from that physical perspective, you know, that can create that great connection to moment, by being able to give yourself, or for somebody else to even better, to give you an energizing massage. And it's a great oil for, I guess, encouraging those feelings of empowerment and energy as well. So another beautiful oil that I definitely love. So one last whiff of that before I close the lid. So the next oil that I want to share with you is cypress. So I'm sure many of us are familiar with the cypress tree, or have at least heard of it by any means. So this is a beautiful smoky, woody sort of scent to it. So for me, I think of being in Bali in the morning when you're, you know, the sun's rising, you can hear the roosters crowing, making their sound, and you know, and there's smokiness in the air, so you can smell the fire burning, the trees, and that beautiful sort of aromatic smell. This is what cypress reminds me of, basically. So it's that really, again, that memory recall to that moment in time in Bali when I'm relaxed and I'm happy, I'm a little bit sunburned, and life is good. This is a beautiful oil for that. So this is, from an emotional perspective, it's great for supporting you as you're working through things like perfectionism, or a need for control. So again, a great way to be able to get the benefit of that is creating an aromatic anchor. So you might want to put this into your diffuser in the morning and set an intention about wanting to, you know, I step through the day with ease, knowing that, you know, you might try to be taking control of a project or something at work. So it's a great way to then, you know, set that intention during the day. And you might want to keep the bottle with you, and whenever you feel like you're kind of losing control of that emotion and you're stepping into that need for control, you can grab your bottle of cypress, take a bit of a breath in, take a moment. I like to go and sit in the toilet cubicle and just sit there for a moment with my oil, and just really bring yourself back to and ground yourself back into that moment. You know, if you wanted to, you could do the drop in your hands and doing that cupping. Another great way to get the aromatic benefits of that essential oil. So again, blending this with any kind of citrus is going to be beautiful. This with a bergamot or a lime is absolutely delicious as well. But a great oil for sort of helping to release that control, and I guess going back to what we're talking about again as well, moving through the emotion, and with ease, and sort of not, I guess, not trying to resist or be rigid and stuck in that need for control. Okay, so that is our cypress. The next one that I want to talk with you all about is probably one of my favorite, definitely in the top 5 of my all-time favorite oils, and this is Hawaiian sandalwood. Just beautiful. So doTERRA actually has 2 different types of sandalwood. So one is an Indian sandalwood, and the other is the Hawaiian sandalwood. So my preference is the Hawaiian sandalwood. For me, it is a completely personal preference. So I guess from the benefits of the two essential oils, again, they both have really similar properties. But I guess through sort of my research and my, ongoing education with the oils, I have learned that the Hawaiian sandalwood does have a higher vibrational frequency as an oil rather than the Indian sandalwood. And so when we're talking about those vibrations of essential oils, or anything, any living matter, really everything that's living has an energetic vibration or frequency. If we're using a product like an essential oil that has a high frequency, like your rose or your sandalwoods, then that is also then increasing our own vibrational frequency as well. So again, it's really just helping with that grounding element, and to, I guess, being the best version of ourselves, essentially. So your Hawaiian sandalwood is great when you're feeling disconnected from an emotional perspective, or you're getting focused on, becoming more materialistic than you would like. So focusing on those extrinsic or those external factors, and seeking sort of satisfaction from those things. So this is a great oil for being able to create a greater connection, and really sort of, I guess, from that spiritual perspective. So again, connection to that higher source, or being open to a higher source that's not focusing on, materialistic things. Okay. So this is very much a grounding oil and a cooling oil. So when we talk about it's cooling those agitated emotions. So if you are feeling frustrated or that anger, then this is going to be a great oil to kind of help tease those emotions out, and then sort of get to that more, calm and grounding feeling. So this is a beautiful oil. If you're lucky enough to have the rose roller touch at home, these two make a beautiful, beautiful duo together. So I absolutely love using these both as a perfume, so as a replacement to an everyday perfume, and either by themselves or together, it's a beautiful combination. But Hawaiian sandalwood is also great for meditation. So if you're going to yoga, or you're just you're going to a meditation studio, or even meditation at home, then this is a great oil to be able to just put on your third eye, a little bit of a sandalwood moustache, and even just at your pulse point, so the back of your ears, so your bone just at the back of your ears, or even just on your wrist, and just need a little bit there, and it's going to be great to form part of your self-care practice and protocol as well. You can also use this, like I've mentioned with the other oils, just putting a drop in your palm, rubbing them together, taking that moment in, just to really ground yourself and be present in that moment. And if you're really wanting a luxurious bath, then this with some Epsom salts will be absolutely to die for. So definitely recommend that, particularly if you have a bath, because I don't have one. So yeah, anyway, we're going to move on from that. So the final oil that I want to share with you, and like I said, there's probably another 10 over here that I want to share with you. But I guess I'm just conscious of time. We're almost hitting that 30-minute mark. And, I want these to be sort of short bursts of information and education for you, and inspiration. But if you do have any questions, or if there's other oils that you want to know more about, so some others that we've got myrrh, we've got frankincense, there's tea tree, eucalyptus. I'll pop some in the comments here, these other oils. And if you do want to learn any more about them, then definitely let me know. But the final oil that I want to finish on here is birch oil. It's a beautiful, so this is actually a hot oil. So you just want to be mindful of this when you're applying it topically. So you're always going to be wanting to use this with your fractionated coconut oil, your FCO. So any kind of carrier oil is going to be best. But when we're talking about birch, I have to say, I feel like I have underestimated this for quite some time, because the birch oil actually smells like a mixture of frankincense, and it's a beautiful, like an incense from when I was a teenager, but a really soft, pleasant incense, not one that sort of chokes everybody in the household. So beautiful oil. So if you're feeling particularly unsupported in your life, so by family or friends or a scenario, then this is another great oil that's going to help you move through that. So when we're talking about getting support, it could be things like using that in your diffuser. Again, you might want to pair it up with a citrus oil. And so that's going to be great to kind of lift that. But this is a really subtle, soft smelling essential oil. So where you've got your Arbor Vitae, which is probably like a 10 on the pungent factor, this is really soft. And we're talking about a 2 or a 3. So really beautiful oil, which will be fine by itself. But this is great for muscle tension. It's great for creating emotional balance as well. And you'll note that it does have a child cap lock on there, which is the only one out of the oils that I've showed you tonight. So you really want to be mindful of that with the littlies around. So this one's not safe for any ingestion at all. And as I said, it's a hot oil. So if that gets onto the skin without any FCO, then it's going to give a little bit of that abrasion and that heat. So just being mindful of that. But in contrast, the scent of it is absolutely beautiful and gentle and soft. And so I guess, you know, when we're looking at that from that that sort of physical perspective, so that hot oil is, I guess it's really good for, you know, or the scent of this oil rather is really good for sort of calming. So as the smell is quite gentle, then that's going to have that gentle effect for us with, you know, moving through that emotion of feeling unsupported as well. Okay, so they're the top 5 oils that I wanted to share with you tonight. So I hope that that has given you a beautiful slow meander through the woods with me. I'm super keen to hear your comments and questions. If there's any more information that you want to know about these oils that are shared, how to use them, or any other grounding oils. Perhaps you've got an oil, one of these oils at home and you're not sure how to use it, or one that I haven't mentioned. It could be blending them or creating DIY roller balls as well. Then definitely comment in or put a comment in the section below, and I'll make sure that I keep an eye on that over the next couple of days. But if there are any oils in there that do get your interest, then they're all available in your back office to order. You know, they can make some great Christmas presents, but some of them, like your sandalwood, you know, make a really lovely gift to yourself as well. So I guess just to recap some of the things that we have already spoken about, so that grounding is all about how, you know, creating ease and the way that we're moving through our emotions. So there's that physical element, there's a spiritual element, and then there's the emotional element as well. So these oils are going to be a really great support with that. Creating an aromatic anchor is a great way to be able to bring yourself back into the moment. So you might have an oil that you set an intention with, and then use that oil to kind of bring you back to that thought pattern, that healthy thought pattern when you need it. So they're just a few tips and tricks that I use to help keep myself grounded, particularly when, you know, we're all kind of rushing through life and we're heading into the Christmas madness. Then I definitely recommend reaching for one of your beautiful grounding oils. So that is all from me. I hope you have a wonderful night, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Thanks, guys. Bye.